During the last lecture, we have studied about P group, and as per the definition of P group, the order of a group must be in the form of P to the power alpha, where P is a prime number and alpha is any power of P. And if the order of a group is of the form of P to the power alpha into M, where M is not divisible by P, then this P group is called silo P group. This is a special type of P group which is known as silo P group. We have already discussed these definitions in our earlier lecture. And the third point is the collection of P subgroups or silo P subgroups is denoted by silo P of Z. This is the notation to write the collection of all silo P subgroups. And generally it can be also represented by NP of Z or simply NP. These definitions we have already discussed earlier. In addition, we have already discussed the statement of Silo theorem, and here we will consider only the statement. And as per the statement, if Z is a group of order P to the power alpha of M, it means it is a silo P group, then it will satisfy these properties. The first is this collection of silo P groups cannot be empty. It means at least one silo P groups will be available in every group. The second property is if P is a subgroup of silo subgroup of G and Q is any P subgroup. Here P is silo, please note it, P is silo P subgroup and Q is P subgroup. It means the order of Q will be of the form of P to the power alpha, while the order of P will be the P to the power alpha into M. This is the basic difference between the silo P subgroups and normal P subgroups. Then this relation will be satisfied. It means this operation will generate all the elements and the set which containing elements, that will be the superset of Q, and here Q will be a subgroup of this structure. So this is the second property. And the third property states that the number of silo P subgroups will be always in the form of 1 plus Kp. It means if you are dividing the order of silo P subgroups, it means number of silo subgroups by this prime number, then the remainder will be always 1. These are the statement of silo P subgroups and the theorems, silo theorem. And in previous lecture I have uploaded a video, a PDF file in which we have discussed on about a question, and in that question there are some statements. These are the statements, and in this theorem it is stated that these 4 statements are equivalent. A student will study the P group, P subgroup and the silo P theorem carefully and the definition of normal subgroups, and then if they study carefully the definition of P group, silo P subgroup and the statement of silo theorem, they will conclude that these statements are equivalent. However, I have given the proof of these statements, but if you are facing the difficulty to understand about the proof of any statement, I will explain this in a doubt session. I will take the live class in next week related to your doubts, and I will discuss your doubts. I will clear your doubts in that session. However, these proofs are very simple and easy to understand if you have clearly understand about the P group, P silo subgroup and their characteristics. Then these statements can be compared with each other, and you will find that these statements are equivalent. However, the proof is given here. This is the basic structure to show the equivalency of these relations. I advise you to read each line very carefully and draw your conclusion about the equivalency of these relations. In this lecture we are going to discuss a very important group which is called factor group or quiescent group. There are two names of this group, factor group and quiescent group. So let's discuss the definition of this group. Let Z be a group and N is a normal subgroup of this Z. Before study about factor group, I advise you to please study once or recall once the definition of normal subgroup. So revise the definition of normal subgroup. That will be convenient for you to understand the definition of factor subgroup and factor group. Here G is a group and N is its normal subgroup. Let us collect all right cosets of N in G. So let us suppose group G is having some elements. The elements are A, B, C, and the last element is E. And we have one normal subgroup. It's a normal subgroup, and let us suppose the normal subgroups contains two elements, the last two elements C and E. Then the number of right cosets. How to write the number of right cosets? The first right cosets will be written for this the first element, and you will write here the Na, and the basic structure of Na will be written in the form Ca into Ec, and on the basis of composition operator or the operator which is defined on this group G, you will conclude the values of these elements. And second right coset will be written for this element B, so you can write the NB, and the elements of NB will be equivalent to CB and EB. However, E is being treated as identity, so it will give B after multiplying B, and so on. So in this style you can write all possible four right cosets. So let's go to the definition of factor group. So let us collect all the right cosets of N in G. It means you are collecting these all right cosets in a group and form a set. You are making the set by collecting these right cosets. Then it will be denoted by G upon N or G oblique N. It means G upon N will contain, it will be the set of some sets which will having Na, Nb, and so on. So this is the basic structure. So this is G upon N. Since N is a normal subgroup, so the product of any two right cosets will be given again a right coset. It is the basic properties of cosets in case of normal subgroup. If you are multiplying two right coset, it means if you are multiplying Na with Nb, then the resultant will be equal to NAB, which we have earlier studied in previous lectures. So the product of two right cosets will always right cosets. That is, we have a well-defined binary composition. It means the product of right cosets are possible. We now formally show that the set G upon M form a group. If we could show that this set is forming a group, then it is called as factor group or quiescent group. So for an example, let us suppose there are two right cosets which is belonging to this set, which is Na and Nb. If you are multiplying Na with Nb, then this is the basic theorem related to cosets of normal subgroups, then their product will be written as NAB, which we have mentioned here. And this is again a right coset, and we know that each right coset is available in G upon N. So G closure properties is being satisfied here. Similarly, we have shown that associative property can also be satisfied here. Let us suppose E be the identity in G, then Ne is also a right coset which will be treated as the identity of G upon N. So here three properties has been satisfied: closure, associative, identity. There is one more property which is called inverse property. In this case, Na inverse will be treated as the inverse of element Na. So this structure is satisfying all properties related to a group, so it is called a factor group or quiescent group. There are two more points. If G is an abelian, then the factor group will also be abelian. It means it will satisfy commutative property, and you student can be, you will